Trizdon Reynolds here. I'm here with Wally Feresten, the cue card supervisor at Saturday Night Live at Late Night with Seth Meyers. You have what is an amazing side business, Cue Cards by Wally. I'd like to start out by letting you talk about that a little bit.
I started this company when the pandemic started last year. I was about 2 months in, and I was sitting on a couch for just every day doing nothing because the shows I was working on weren't taping, and I was pretty bored. And I'd had this idea a while ago, and my wife is in business and she loves starting new companies. And I was like, why don't we get this company started, Cue Cards by Wally? And she was like, now's the time to do it because the pandemic is no one can go to birthday parties. They can't go to anniversaries. It was a cool gift idea. So she helped me start it. We started on a shoestring, just got it an Instagram account, basically in Venmo, and it kind of took off.
Well, it's pretty outstanding. And I've got an example behind me as a lifetime late night television fan. And of course, Saturday Night Live fan. I mean, to me, it's completely fascinating to have what is, in essence, pretty close to a piece of SNL history, right? Like it's not from the show, but it's from the guy who does that. And to me, I just thought that was amazing.
People always asked me if I could sell them cards that we used on the show. And, once I write script on it it becomes NBC's property and I'm not allowed to sell it. And, we give some away to some of the writers and stuff like that, but wasn't allowed to sell it. So I was like, what's the next best thing? And I was like, well, I guess writing a personalized message on a card for somebody that they can give as a gift or they can give to themselves is just the best thing. It's the same cards we use on the show and the same markers, and I write them up and, I take a picture with them and then you get your finished product right behind you. Looks pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah. And just, the coolest thing in the world for an SNL fan or a late night TV head like myself. You have probably hobnobbed with all the celebrities. Do you ever still get starstruck on SNL and Seth meeting these folks?
When Eddie Murphy came back, I had never worked with him, and he was on from I think he was on from 80 to 85, and then I started in 1990. And no one had ever worked with him before, so it was a little bit of like a mystique, him coming back, and I had met, and I'd met Dan Aykroyd and worked with him, and I met a lot of the original cast, Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, but Eddie Murphy was one guy that I was kind of like, just like, oh my God, Eddie Murphy's coming back to SNL. And it was a really magical weekend. It was really fun.
Who is the coolest celebrity number in your cell phone right now, if you don't mind dropping a name?
I mean, Charles Barkley is well known down there, so he's a good one. But I think probably Aquaman, Jason Momoa is probably the coolest one cell phone number I have him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I think folks that know the late night or really comedy for the last 50 years, the name Lorne Michaels. He is a legend. What's it like working for Lorne?
I've worked there for 30 years and he's maybe said 5 words to me in the first 5 years I worked there, because he's up here. If you can see my hands, he's way up here, and then everybody else is down here, and not in like a tyrannical kind of way. It's just like he's Lorne Michaels, and he's running the show and he's doing all these things. So he doesn't talk to you unless you've done something wrong or you've done something really, really well. But having outlasted a lot of other people and being there for so long, we chat, we talk about baseball because we're both Yankee fans, and we're just talking about our kids a lot and stuff like that. He's a good guy, but he's just, I'm still in awe of a little bit of what he does and how long he's done it himself, which is pretty crazy.
So you've mentioned you've been there since 1990, which is a heck of a lot of comedy history. Do you have a cast or a group that sort of stands out as your favorite group of folks?
Well, I guess maybe they say when you're a fan of SNL, it's that first group that you started watching is your favorite. That it tends to be. So I would have to probably say that first group when I started, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler. I still caught a little bit of the end of, like, I still had Phil Hartman and Dana Carvey and those guys, but it was the new group coming in: Farley, Sandler, Spade, Rob Schneider, Tim Meadows, those guys. So I had a nice, overlap. So I would say those were my favorite. I was young and it was just so much fun.
That seems like a pretty hard group of guys or group of folks to not have a lot of fun with.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I only caught a piece of this story, so I'll give you an opportunity if you want to tell it. Did Will Forte almost get you in a fight? Is that the case?
Well, Charles Barkley was hosting SNL, and he likes to play practical jokes on people. They don't know it until he starts doing it. So he went up to the stage manager and said, "I want to play a practical joke. I want to pretend I'm mad at Wally. Tell him I'm going to yell at him during this sketch and during rehearsal on Saturday." So Chris came up and told me, and I was like, "Great, I'm in. Let's do it." And no one else knew about it. So the sketch starts. We start rehearsing it, and Barkley breaks character, and he says, "Wally, I can't see the friggin' cards. You're moving them all over the place. Jesus, blah, blah, blah. I can't see anything." And he's like, "That's it. I'm out of here." And he leaves, and he starts walking off the stage. And everyone in the studio, the cast, were like, their mouths were open, like, "Oh my God." And as he's walking off the stage, Will Forte goes, "Hit him. Hit him." and, and then Barkley gets off the stage, stops, turns around, and comes back, and everyone was in hysterics. It was great. Everyone fell for it. And I walked over to Will Forte. I was like, "What are you doing? You told him to hit me. I mean, he's gigantic." I go, you thought this was real and you told him to hit me?" He was like, "Wally, I was trying to diffuse the situation with humor." And I was like, "I don't know. It didn't sound that way." Well, nice. Will Forte is a great guy, though. I really like him. So he was just kind of having fun with it, you know.
Was there a host that really stood out to you as somebody on SNL that just you could not get enough of as a host?
I gotta say, Justin Timberlake is one of those guys that can just do anything and do it so well. And I first met him when he was dating Britney Spears. Like he was young. He was like 19 or 20 maybe. And he was a little punk. He was 19. He was young, And then he came back like 5 or 6 years later and hosted. And I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get this guy back." And he was unbelievable. He was so talented, could do anything that the writers asked of him. And it was like, one of the best shows we had. So he was the kind of guy that kind of turned it around for me and then surprised me all in one.
Is there a best moment in what you've done? Is there something that stands out as, man, that was a great save?
There was a time where little things happen, and we have different sets of cards, and it may be a little hard to explain, but I was holding a set of cards in the middle under a camera. And there was another set of cards over to my left, another set of cards over to my right. And I realized halfway through the sketch that I didn't have the last card of the sketch. Oh, no. And it was over. It's the person that had it over there. And I was like, "Oh no, what am I going to do? I don't have the last card of the sketch." So I communicated somehow, and I don't remember how, to this person that I need the last card. I think I mouthed it probably. And as I was holding the second to last card, that person slid the card across the studio floor. Now, mind you, the actors are watching this happen. They're reading the card and they see this card sliding across the floor. I grab it, and as I finish holding that card, I pick it up and hold it up, and it was perfect timing. No one noticed the difference. And everyone looked at me like, "What just happened? What just happened there?" It was one of those things where you have to think quick and you try to save it. And we were lucky enough to save that moment.
And on the other hand, a situation that didn't turn out so well that you want to share?
No, we've never dropped a card. Like, no one's ever physically dropped a card, and I never have. But you two cards will stick together, and you'll go to pull it, and it won't pull. So the timer's off. I think I did an update joke for Norm Macdonald once, and I was pulling he had the setup, and I went to go pull the card for the punchline, and the card stuck and it wouldn't move. So I completely ruined the joke. He couldn't say the punchline. I think he said it, but the timing was all off. And I looked at him and I mouthed to him, "Sorry," like that. And he, on camera during the live show, goes, "It's okay, Wally, don't worry about it." Because that was Norm Macdonald. He didn't care. He almost liked when things happen like that once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, was he your favorite update host?
Probably, just because of his unpredictability. I used to write jokes for Update as well when I first started. I wanted to be a writer, so that's why I kind of took the job initially. So I would work from Friday 11 until like midnight doing cue cards. And then I would go up to the 17th floor with all the writers, and we would write update jokes from midnight to like 4 or 5 in the morning. So I liked Norm because he did my jokes a lot. If all you had to do was write an O.J. Simpson joke and he would do it. No. But yeah, Jim Downey, I think, was the producer on Update at the time. And they would end newscasts. You want to end a weekend update with like your funniest joke. Most people would anyway. Norm would end it with the cringiest joke, or and he would more elicit or nothing, and he would love that. They loved doing that, so it was a lot of fun.
So, how long would you like to continue doing cue cards?
Well, I'm 55, so I don't know. I mean, as long as SNL is going to go on and doing in this, as long as my body holds up, I'll do it for another 10 years and then maybe become a consultant and let somebody else, like maybe one of my kids run the company or somebody else do it. But my body's breaking down. I'm getting right after this interview, I'm going for physical therapy for my shoulder because I get a cortisone shot every year after SNL ends, and I do physical therapy all summer long to get ready for next season. So I consider myself like a ball player, like an old time ball player
Yeah.
who's gonna rehab their stuff all summer long, all winter long to get ready for the season. That's kind of what I do.
Wow. Well, hopefully it's, another 35 years.
I hope so. I hope so.
And it's amazing too. You've had a lot of screen time, which is really cool. And probably a lot of the staff can't say the same, right?
No, it's just I'm kind of like on the front lines, so they think about me, and I have writers that like to write for me and stuff. So yeah, I'm very lucky to be on SNL and Amber and Late Night with Seth Meyers, and I was on 30 Rock. I played myself on 30 Rock. Tina Fey was not enough to write me into that. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty nice.
Do you get nervous when you know you're going to be on air like that, or is it?
No, nah? I just think of Chris Farley. Chris Farley was the bravest performer I'd ever seen on that show because he would do anything. He would, and even when he wasn't on camera, he'd come out in his underwear like during rehearsal and just walk around. And it was like that's the kind of guy he was. So I channel Chris Farley every time. I was like, okay, what would Farley do during this? Farley be nervous? No, Farley wouldn't be nervous. Just go out there and do it. I've had to do stuff with my shirt off, like in like pretend to be naked and stuff like that. Just do it. Just go for it. It's TV. It's fun. I get paid for it. It's a lot of fun.
Would you ever consider writing a book? I'm sure you could.
Yeah, I wanted to write a book. A few times I've wanted to write a book about. I was going to do like a year in an SNL life, and I was going to do each show was going to be one chapter, and you have to get permission from the show, and Lauren, doesn't have to approve it, but you want to have Lauren's blessing. Like I had Lauren's blessing with this company, which was nice. So I don't think I think I will write a book, but probably as I get closer to retiring, maybe in 10 years, and I'll have even more stories to tell. I just, you don't want to say burn bridges, but I probably can't tell all the good stories until I'm really kind of winding up my career.
You mentioned you've done some writing. I know you've done Celebrity Deathmatch, which I think was an MTV show.
Yep.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was hilarious. Obviously, you've written several update jokes. Would you like to sort of see that side of it anymore?
I still have that writing. I went to Syracuse University. I majored in writing, so that was always the dream to write. And then kind of the cue card thing I got really good at it, and my life went a different path, which I don't regret in any way, because I think I've had more experiences that I cherish in that as a cue card guy than I could have as a writer. But I'm actually writing a movie with a friend of mine right now, so I'm still dabbling. I'm dabbling in it here and there, but yeah. So it's still, the bug is still there. So you might see something from me. You might see a movie coming out from me in a year or two. We'll see.
Well, you've been extremely generous with your time today, Wally. That's Wally Feresten, the head SNL cue card person, among many other late night TV shows. Be a part of what he's doing. If you'd like your own autographed Wally Feresten cue card, like I've got behind me, all you got to do is check Wally out at cuecardsbywally.com. And you can check him out, cuecardsbywally at gmail.com and on Instagram. Wally, thank you so much for your time. And for WBON-TV Channel 9, I'm Trizdon Reynolds.